Yes, that's right.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Great. Yeah, I wanted to ask, I still don't think anyone has answered your question. And you've talked about giving people back their hotels. I want to know why that is more important than the rights of the people living in them, who, by the way, are having like a terrible time. They're not living in the Ritz. I support them as a charity worker. They've got lice, they've got bed bugs, they're not getting any money, they're not getting any food. Why does that matter more than someone who fancies a trip to a hotel? And what are you all doing to actually make sure that those people are safe in a UK that is full of far-right violence directed against those people? I also really want to know how any of you can sleep at night knowing that you are enabling a genocide where 100,000 people
Let's deal with
have
one
died.
question at a time. And this is an interesting one. Sure. This is one for you, Kieran Mullen, because it was the Conservatives who really started the use of asylum hotels. How do you respond to that sense of anger?
Well, Trevor, I'll pick up directly on the question that you posed earlier to Lisa.
Which is her question.
Which is to say that if people are choosing, if they're making a choice to come here from France, France is not a war-torn country. It is a civilised democracy where they are perfectly able to secure access to the rights that you would expect any asylum seeker to be able to obtain. So I don't accept, and my constituents don't accept the moral... Sorry, they don't accept the moral framing that you're putting on it, and I don't either, because actually, if you're choosing to enter a country illegally in a way that we don't support as a nation, then I'm afraid that my sympathy for you is not as high as it would otherwise be. Now, our policy has always been to say, actually, we should keep people in a safe third country that we put forward as a Rwanda as a way to do that. So, yes, we have a basic right to secure people's accommodation, but actually people should not be making the crossing in the first place from a safe third country.
I want to add one more voice to this conversation. Ryan from Buckinghamshire, I think you've got a question for us.
Hi.
Ryan.
Labour's promised to close all asylum hotels. Where will these people be housed? And is this alternative arrangement sustainable and ethical?
That's a key point. You take them out of the asylum hotels, and we're talking now, what, 40, 50,000 people? Where are they going to sleep the night after?
It's really important that we do move people out of hotels. It's an unacceptable solution to this, and the public have made that really clear. But of course, you know, I talked earlier about British values, and that means that we do the right thing. We're decent people. We're all decent people. I expect you're all decent people. And that means that if people are travelling here illegally, they should still be treated with that respect. So, of course, we're now exploring MOD sites, and I've no doubt that that accommodation will be adequate for those people. I've slept in the accommodation myself for years, as have many veterans. So it's important that we do look after people, but that doesn't mean we're not strong on this.
When you say MOD sites, you mean disused airfields and so forth. You weren't sleeping in them when they'd been mothballed. What is the accommodation that these people should be in? Are they in tents? Are they in shipping containers? Because these places have been abandoned. Where are you going to put these 40 or 50,000 people?
Yeah, so we're obviously new into this role, so these decisions are still being made, but we're exploring the sites. That I've slept in accommodations such as porter cabins when I've been on operations as well, and that's absolutely fine.
Mike,
and
right?
it won't be
so
a
the
few
point
years
about
at a time.
hotels is they're fine for a couple of nights, but for a couple of years they're wholly inappropriate. You've got families who've got no catering facilities. Hotels aren't working for the communities, like mine, like I was saying, but they're certainly not working for the people who are in them. And so we do need to process people's applications much faster so that those who've got a right to be here can get on with their life, can get a job, can contribute, can integrate, and those who don't have a right to be here should be
and take up social housing that we don't have the capacity for. So that, you know, we're talking about whether in hotels, if they're not hotels, they're being accommodated somewhere else. And the Liberal Democrats' overall policy on this is to have even easier for people to claim asylum in this country. They want more safe and legal routes for people to actually come and claim asylum here.
Which should stop them having to get in a dinghy.
It will make no difference at all,
channel.
because if you have safe and legal routes,
We've got
you
some
obviously have
safe
to
and
set
legal routes
a
for
cap
Hong
to
Kong,
that. If
for
I can just make the point,
Ukraine.
you have to set a cap to that. And obviously, inevitably, there will be people that want to come after you've set the cap, and they will go back to crossing in the dinghies just like before. And so actually, I'll go back to the point I made earlier. I really do understand that we didn't deliver this policy in government, but the overall policy that's going to stop all of this, stop people being in hotels, stop them being in social housing that local people desperately want, is to have a deterrent so people don't cross in the first place.
Zia, I know that your party's view is that there needs to be deterrence and speed up the returns and so on and so forth. But there will be a period where people, if you move people out of asylum hotels, they've got to be somewhere. One of your colleagues has talked about putting people in tents and so on.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to do?
That's what the French do. That's what the French do. We've got to ask ourselves why people are making that journey. It's because we offer, the British people are being forced to pay for a much better deal. You know, you talk about offering safe, safe and legal routes.
I said
the
not
Tory
to.
party, the
I said
Tory
not
party
to.
offered safe and illegal routes, which is why hundreds of thousands of people came here illegally. There hasn't really been a proper answer, by the way, to the question from the gentleman about veterans. And I have personally spoken to veterans, and this is where it gets to Bond villain levels of wickedry. One of the things that the current government does, and the Tories did for 14 years, they offer big contracts to these big contractors like Serco. And Serco go in as a corporate landlord and say, we are going to offer enormous rent premiums to local landlords. I want to finish this point.
I know you think it's important, but we're moving into very different territory,
veterans who
which is
serve
not
this
an answer
country,
to
with respect,
it's not an answer to
I'm
her
answering the
question, I'm
that
afraid.
nobody else answered. Veterans
It's not
who
an
serve
answer
this
to her
country with
question.
distinction are
Can
being
we just,
forcibly evicted in order to house illegal migrants. And there's nothing about that, Trevor,
We've been
that's remotely
talking
acceptable.
about people coming and going, the impact it has on communities.